All right, we're back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Holly Ladd's with us, health and wellness coach. Appreciate her coming on in the new year, and it's always interesting talking to her. You can tell I'm into this kind of stuff. I like learning from her. 737-7587 is the number. You know, Bob, the last caller, talked about cough drops too, right? And you know, things you can suck on. Now, I don't know, cough drops or anything you suck on if you have a scratchy throat might help. I bought the other day some Manuka honey, Manuka honey, which, and I'm a honey guy, but Manuka honey is it Canadian or something like that? New Zealand. Yeah. But Manuka honey that's supposed to have certain elements to it, and it's Manuka and I think ginger cough drops. And I just, and I tell you, I'll feel a little scratch coming on and I'll suck them and it feels better. I mean, and it stays away. It's like it subdues whatever was coming on.
Right. So I have those too.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
It's a good brand.
Weatherspoon or Weatherspoon
something
or something like that. Yep.
Yeah.
When I got a cough, actually a pretty bad cough in the fall. Okay. And I got these Manuka honey drops. I think the same one you're talking about. They have in them something that's called a byproduct of honey, like propolis or propolis.
Yeah, propolis. That's right. That's what I was reading about it.
But that has amazing effects on your immune system, and there's research out there to show it. And
which is so bizarre.
Yeah.
You know what propolis is? I'm a beekeeper.
I don't know what it is.
Propolis is what the bees. Okay, the bees produce a lot of things, including honey from their saliva and all of that with pollen. Propolis is a sticky goo that they use to bind and seal the hive.
Wow.
Is literally what it is. I mean, propolis is like if they have a crack in the hive and cool air is getting in, they go and it's almost like liquid cement that comes out of their body, and it's sticky. It's not the wax itself, but it's something that helps bind the hive together.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I don't know who even thinks, oh, let's study this.
Yeah,
but
maybe the propolis is good.
It's ancient wisdom. It probably comes from the Aboriginal people or the people who have used this substance for years, and now all of a sudden we're like, we have the science to prove that it actually works. So I don't know. My partner had the same cold that I did. Her cough lasted 3 weeks. My cough lasted 10 days. Okay. And I was doing different, I was doing the honey drops. I was doing some other herbal tonics and elderberry, which we've talked about before.
I was going to bring that up again. That's something this time of year. Elderberry syrup, which is yummy. Yes. And you can just have a tablespoon of that or whatever. And that, you believe, has high antioxidants.
I don't believe, I know. I mean, there's research done on it that it's 40% more effective on the flu than, other remedies.
Yeah, get that going. All right. What about zinc tablets? Lozenges?
Zinc is important to our immune system as well.
Now, my wife has used that. She hasn't used the honey ones that I've used, but when she has a scratchy throat, she'll use the zinc, and that seems to, again, a lot of this stuff, you have to be careful, one, to make sure you get a quality product, okay? Yeah. Two, recognize that a lot of this has not been FDA approved, and the FDA is not the end all. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence out there. Yeah. With me, as long as I know something, if I've done my research, isn't going to hurt me, I figure at the very least it will do nothing. So I will give it a try and see if it helps. Yeah. And if it helps, if it's something that is more serious, I'll run it by my doctor or someone like you. But, those cough drops, I figure, well, what the heck? They're not cheap, but the ones I bought, I'll give it a try. And if they don't work, I'll never buy them again, but they're not going to make me sick. But if they do, I'm like, wow, I've discovered something that anyway works for me.
Right. And actually, there is a website called PubMed. PubMed, P-U-B-M-E-D. Okay. It is the warehouse of all the scientific studies that exist.
Okay, so studies, not necessarily just anecdotal, but actually real science studies, because a lot of people make claims and there's no science behind it, and that's where you do have to be careful.
But you can go to PubMed and search elderberry. You can go to PubMed and search propolis. You could go to PubMed and search Manuka honey. Right. You could go to PubMed and search placebo. And you can have access to, of course, you're not going to get the whole study because you have to pay for that, but you can get abstracts that tell you basically the summary of what the study is.
Check on that, maybe see why do you think this works. The great example of that in anecdotal evidence and stuff that isn't signed off by the FDA is truly, it's the big thing, medical marijuana. Or marijuana. And in the state of Tennessee, still medical marijuana, new legislation is going to be introduced this next session, new for this session, but it's keeps coming and failing in this state. And to me, you know how I feel about this. As a journalist, I try to remain impartial, but the fact that medical marijuana is not legal in Tennessee is absolutely absurd. Period. It's just wrong. I'm not saying recreational, but the bottom line is there is a ton of anecdotal evidence that it has helped, especially children with seizures with oil. I'm not talking about smoking and getting stoned. I'm talking about medicinal
CBD oil.
oils. And then, you know, the FDA's even approved some uses of medical marijuana. And it's coming. It is coming. But that's where, yeah, going to something like PubMed or checking anecdotally, looking at what other people do, remain legal, of course. But I mean, just because it's not FDA approved does not mean it doesn't work. It does mean it's not regulated, so you have to be careful where you get your samples and do your research.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's the Wild West out there with everything, with supplements, with
you name it.
CBD oil, with herbs, with anything. So you want to make sure you're going with...
You and I have talked about this. You can go to certain big box stores and buy yourself a large jar of glucosamine or chondroitin for your joints. And it might cost you $15. And there's maybe 1,000 tablets. Or a big thing of fish oil. And it may cost you $20 and it's got 1,000 tablets. And that's a great deal and that's a lot of pills. Now you would say that as opposed to maybe going to one of those specialized vitamin stores where a small container of chondroitin and glucosamine might set you back $40 and only have 100 tablets in it. What's the difference in your mind? I mean, something that's more expensive is not always necessarily better, but logic would dictate there's a difference. There's a reason they can sell 1,000 to you for $20.
Right. I mean, the studies have showed, right? They've done research on supplements where they've gone and gotten, you know, different types of fish oils and actually broken it down and looked at what's actually in there. And a lot of those sort of bargain fish oils are mostly like canola oil. So you're getting taken. It doesn't actually really have as much of the supplement in there as it says it does. It's kind of been fabricated. So you want to find a supplement that's been certified. There are nonprofit organizations,
you can check for the certifications
that are certifying that the supplement, yes, it contains this amount of that.
Also, you've told me before, it also can depend on the form it comes in. If it's a synthesized form, maybe it's not it may indeed have that in it, but it's not as easily absorbed by your body as maybe a more natural derivative that's in a tablet. Or maybe it's vice versa, because I've heard that some will test positive. Yeah, there's glucosamine and chondroitin in there, but it's a type, as opposed to this one here, that isn't as well absorbed, so you're ending up pissing it out.
Right, and so here's another one, is like we have certain fat-soluble vitamins, like vitamin D, for example. If you're not taking it with a fat, you're going to pee it right out.
Why do they say you have to take pepper
with curcumin?
With the
turmeric?
Turmeric.
Again, bioavailability.
Really? So they combine somehow.
Somehow.
The pepper helps your body absorb the turmeric.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting?
I mean, I can't remember the statistic, but there are like something like 225,000 biochemical reactions in our body every minute. I don't know, I could be exaggerating, but there's some amazingly mind-blowingly huge thing of data. And how everything interacts in our body, we still don't really fully understand, right? So we're in this process of just slowly peeling back the layers of the onion to really cracking the nut on how we really work, and for these discoveries that, wow, you need pepper to...
That makes it better, so it absorbs it better, and turmeric, of course, can help with inflammation, again, anecdotally, and there's studies out there, but you know, it's a supplement and you have to look into it. Let's take a quick call from Andrea. Andrea, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. What's on your mind?
I have fibromyalgia, and I have had it for several years, and I have pain in my joints all the time. It's just a matter of degree. I'm thinking about using a topical CBD oil, and I wondered what Holly's thoughts would be on that, and if it's appropriate, where I would get a reliable source.
Okay.
Big question. I think try it. Again, the Nick philosophy, it's not going to hurt.
It's not going to hurt you.
If it doesn't help, well, you've tried it and it doesn't help.
Listen, if you want to, I've used topicals. Now, I don't have fibromyalgia, and I don't know if it will help on that. If you want to message me, I'll be glad. I've got to double check the name of it. I had a balm that I've purchased. I've gone to some of these hemp expos and things like this, met the makers, know the legit ones, and I bought one. I've used all kinds of rubs in my life, from Bengay to this and Tiger Balm. This is the one thing that for muscle aches for me, like my lower back, it works. For me, it works. And all it is a topical rub. You're not going to get stoned from it. It's CBD oil in it. You rub it on the back. I'll be glad if you message me, Nick Barris, NC5, here at Channel 5. I'll get back with you with the type that I ordered. And it's not cheap. 2 ounces might cost you $50, but it'll last you a year. And there's a smaller amount I think you could buy to try if you have fibromyalgia. Now again, I don't know if it'll work. I think it's important as we wrap things up on this, and good for her giving that a try.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's not going to hurt you unless you have some allergic reaction. I want to remind folks, you and I just sit here talking. You're not a doctor, and I sure as heck am not. But we're just talking about things that's out there, outside the realm of conventional medicine. We're not necessarily experts. You are in terms of setting up people's plans, but it gives you things to think about.
Yep.
And to research yourself and maybe find other things that can help you that you haven't thought of.
Yeah.
I just want to remind people that. We're not the authority necessarily. We're spitballing here.
Yeah, I mean, I find I feel like I'm the source of the source. Like I give the clients information, and then you, the client, decide, hey, this sounds like something I want to try. So another website for our viewers, your viewers, is greenmedinfo.com. So they tend to skew towards more holistic, herbals, naturals, but actually studied. That do studies, scientific data on more natural, holistic things. So greenmedinfo.com is sort of a more open-minded, say, than PubMed, but it's still scientific, right? They're still doing randomized trials on it. So the other thing is that you have to remember, in this whole scientific world, we talk about anecdotes. To do a certified randomized trial is expensive.
I know.
And if you're not going to make a lot of money on, say, I don't know.
That's why a lot of it doesn't happen.
Collard greens.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to get funding for a randomized trial. It's not going to happen. So anecdotes are there for a reason.
Right. And just if enough people are saying it, and that's why I think it's good. And she asked, and I'll be glad to share my personal experience. And then you give it a try. Ask enough people, get some recommendations and referrals, and then look into it for yourself. But again, never as a substitute for what your doctor's doing without running it by them, quitting one thing to go to something we're talking about here. Always ask about that. But some of these things are worth looking into because it works.
It works.
Holly Ladd, thank you for coming on. This was a good conversation.
Yeah.
I'm in my feeding window. I'm going to go get something to eat.
Me
We'll
too.
see you again soon. I'll be back with a programming note after this.